Welcome, Aman,
Thank you.
to our podcast, Brick by Brick with Mufaddal Shafiq. I welcome you. Thanks for giving your precious time. અમે આ પોડકાસ્ટ સ્ટાર્ટ કરો કે આર્કિટેક્ટ્સ ઇન્ટિરિયર ડિઝાઇનર્સ એ લોકોના વોટ ગોઝ બિહાઇન્ડ ધ સીન્સ કે તમારા માઇન્ડમાં શું ચાલે છે જ્યારે તમે કંઈ પણ વસ્તુઓ ડિઝાઇન કરો છો કંઈ બી તમે કરો છો તો એના માટે મેં ખાસ આ પોડકાસ્ટમાં મેં સોચ્યું કે પીક યોર બ્રેઇન કે વોટ આર્કિટેક્ટ્સ અને આ લોકો તમે લોકો શું સોચીને કઈ બી વસ્તુ ડિઝાઇન કરો છો. સો વેલકમ ટુ માય શો.
Thank you. I'll introduce myself. I'm Amaan Morkas.
યસ.
I have been in the interior design business for the past 3 years, so relatively pretty new to the industry. Prior to that, I finished my studies from Italy, from Milan, specifically from Istituto Europeo di Design. So after studying there for 3 years and working there for a year, I came back and started my own practice called Studio Morkas. Other than this, I'm also involved with my family business, which is of construction. So we are into both residential and commercial real estate.
Right.
So yeah, that is it.
So what was your experience in Milan, Italy? What was it like and what was the cultural difference?
So firstly, when I went there, there's a drastic difference between what happens in the industry, let's say in India, and then what happens back in Italy.
Right.
The European standards are pretty different on a lot of aspects,
Yes.
and the design way of thinking is also very different. So what happens is, over here, what we believe the design process is that someone comes up with a particular idea and they start off with that idea, they develop that specific thought that they've gotten. But what we are taught over there is, there's a lot of research that happens behind the design that you form.
What was it like studying there? What new did you learn that you could have not learned here? જો यहाँ તમે જે ના શીખી શકાવ તેમ ઇન્ડિયામાં રહીને.
Main difference is you meet a lot of new people.
Right.
You meet people from all walks of life.
Right.
In my own university, I had people coming in from all around Europe. I had people coming in from Asia. So you meet them and you understand that culture, and there are a lot of cultural resemblance that we have from India and a lot of Middle Eastern culture and everything.
Right.
And at the same time, there's a lot of cultural difference as well.
Right.
Like compared to Europe and let's say America and everything.
Yes.
So you get to learn a lot about the culture and how the people are, how their daily practices are, and then so it gives you a very broad sense of like different human beings, different human habits,
Yes.
and then how do you incorporate them into their daily living,
Right.
because at the end of the day that is the job.
Yes.
So different people, different needs, and then catering to all of that need is the process.
So would you say that in Europe or Italy specifically, people are more driven by the thought of functionality rather than in India? So it's from designing point of view.
From designing point of view, I'd feel people are a lot more focused on the design aspect in Italy
Okay.
rather than India. I feel like Indian people are a lot more functional.
Okay.
Also considering the real estate prices, so when you factor that, you understand that not a lot of people can buy a lot of square footage in a lot of places in India.
Okay.
So all the metropolitan cities and everything, like the square footage of houses that people are working with is far limited.
Yes. Yes.
So the functional needs need to be sorted in a limited area.
Right.
So that is a lot bigger challenge than what people face in Europe. The thing is, in Europe, what I've understood is people who have money will have bigger houses, and those are the only ones hiring interior designers.
Right.
People who are not working with a lot of budget,
Yes.
they there's this sense of doing it themselves.
Right.
So they go to the market, they shop themselves. if they have to make something small, they do
They
it
make
themselves.
yes, right,
So there's a lot of like DIY culture happening over there,
right.
and IKEA is big. So
Yes,
people who are working on a budget are very happy with IKEA as well.
yes. So you have to make it from
Yeah, and then people who are working with a good budget, they have a lot of money to spend. So then they're spending it exorbitantly on the brands, and Italian brands, of course, they're very nice. They pay a lot more attention to design. So yeah, there's a big difference. I feel India is more towards functional needs.
right. So what made you come back to India? So working a year over there. I actually can I ask for what firm did you work and what architect?
I was working for a local architect in Turin,
Okay,
and that was for a very short period. And what I understood over there was there was a so when you're following a very proper structure of working, which they do over there,
right.
everything goes through the chain of command.
Okay,
And when you're entering the market, when you're entering such market, let's say,
right.
you are at the bottom of the chain.
Okay.
So
Yes.
you get to know the things when everything has finally happened. Like
Okay.
so,
Can we say like clerical work or basic, not more, more of,
not clerical work, but you get substantial amount of work.
okay.
But the thing is, you never get to see the project realized in real.
Okay, right.
So it's mainly a desk job. We're working there, and it is good. I mean, I wouldn't say it's not good for anyone starting off, but I had a different perspective because like I said, I already have family who's been in real estate, so I've
Yes.
always seen things happening. I've
Right.
always seen things being constructed. I've always seen how the process takes place. So then, me being at a desk and doing my job did not make a lot of sense.
So,
Plus, luckily, I had a lot of exposure over here, and I had a few stepping stones that I could, start off my journey with.
Okay.
So that was a good part. So that is why I ended up coming here. It was a tough decision. I remember struggling with the decision when I was back in college, because I remember having this conversation with my friends back then who were still, going to stay in Italy for a few more years.
okay.
They were going to work there. So having this conversation, and we had a pretty good back and forth care. You shouldn't do this, you should work,
Right.
etc. Then I ended up coming here, and I don't regret the choice.
But I think so. Yes, you, because I think that the experience you would get there. I don't think so. Design at the design level, it would benefit you, but the functionalities and market are very different. Both the markets.
Yeah. Plus, when I'm working over here, um, I get to do everything by myself. So from scratch, I'm working on sites. I am designing the project. I have partnered up with my sister, so
Right.
we work together. That is a good dynamic.
Yes.
So what happens is, recently what we've done is that she takes care of the designing element, the designing part of the process,
Okay.
and I for sure give my inputs. But then again, like, that department is hers, and what I look after is the execution, is the technical part, the technical drawings, how that design idea will actually be transformed into reality is what I take care of.
So tell us about first of your, some of your first projects.
When we started off, we had this. We started off with a weekend project, like a weekend house, and we were very fortunate to have those clients as our first clients, because they were very open to the new design ideas that we had, and the entire design process. It was the first time for us, so we had a lot of guidance from a lot of people. It was like daily. I remember we had like 5 to 10 questions to ask someone, how to manage this, how to do this, and it was a fun learning curve. We had a very very good clients. I'd say like the best clients that you can have as a first project,
Right.
because what happens is, when I mean, there are some clients, who are pretty strict towards what they want and what they require out of the space.
Yes.
So there's a lot less fluidity on
Yes.
your part, to do
Less room to
something.
work.
Huh.
Right.
Like, there's no leg room to do what you want.
Yes.
and like, you have to do what the client wants.
Right.
But luckily, we had a lot of freedom working with the first few projects, and yeah, they turned out very nice. The two first projects that we did were both featured by Architectural Digest,
Oh,
and both of them had lovely feedback from people, and I think the clients were also happy. So that is actually pretty important to us.
yes.
Finally, when we hand over the project, the main important factor is whether or not the client is happy with the space.
My real question is, what did you want to learn in the university or the educational institute you were there that you got to learn on the ground here?
So what we learn in university, like, I'll tell this very frankly, what we learn in the university is not at all what happens in real life. Okay. In university, everything is a sweet picture, like there's no budget. There's
Yes.
people have a lot of money
Right.
when we're doing projects. So all those hypothetical projects, they have no limitations, and then they don't teach you how actually things break down on site.
Right.
So what we are doing over there is we are just designing a space on paper.
Right.
We're doing technical drawings on paper.
Yes.
They're being evaluated by professors, but then again, like, there is no as such difficulty on site that we get to know about.
Yes. Right.
Whereas in real life, what happens is there's a lot of back and forth with the vendors, with the agencies, and with us.
Right.
Because once we design something, it goes to the client, they approve it, then it goes to the vendors, and then we get some feedback from them that certain things are not possible.
Yes.
So then we have got to amend it.
Yes.
Then we've got to send it again. So there's a lot of back and forth. And then there are certain things that we design, but realizing that design in reality
Yes.
is not as easy as it seems on paper.
Right.
So what happens is we have to take a lot of feedback from the carpenter,
Right.
that how do we make this happen?
Yes. Right.
Because honestly, they've got a lot more experience. Like, the people we're working with have been working in this field for 30 years.
Right.
So they have a lot more experience on how materials work, how they can use the material best, and finally make something that we want.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, we take a lot of feedback from carpenters. Like, they're our best friends.
Yes.
So anything that I don't understand how to do, it's either the carpenter or the electrician or the stone workers. We rely on them to give their input, and finally the final result should be achievable. That is it.
It takes guts to admit something like that, because
Yeah.
sometimes I also work in this same industry. I've seen people like pretending that they know all things. They design something, and sometimes it fails. Or design fails because it's not possible practically,
Yeah.
and sometimes the client's budget is also in constraint. So this attitude is good to accommodate that. If I don't
Yeah,
know
I
something,
mean-
I'll ask around.
Yeah, I mean, if I say blatantly that I do everything by myself and I don't need anyone's input, I think that is very arrogant of me.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, I am overseeing the execution. I am making, let's say, drawings for the agencies,
Right.
but they're doing on-site work, so they've
Right.
got far more experience than what I have at this
Yes.
moment. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of skilled labor in India.
Right.
So we are very fortunate. I don't know how long this will last, because as the market grows and what we're facing right now,
Right.
probably we'll have a labor shortage soon for skilled
So
labor.
I'm also experiencing it right now.
Yeah, you must be. I mean, I'm sure.
Yes.
This is something that happens in everywhere. It happened in Europe as well.
Okay.
Right now, like, just an example, if you want to call a plumber over here, it'll take 5 to 10 minutes for the plumber to come,
Right.
and he'll charge, let's say, 500 rupees.
Yeah.
So that is,
minimum.
if I say in terms of euros, it's like 5 euros.
Right.
At the same time, if I had to call a plumber back then, he'd take around 2 to 3 hours to come.
Right.
You'd have to make an appointment. Then they'd come and they'd assess the problem, and that entire process of assessing the problem, giving you a solution, everything, they charge a minimum of 100 euros
Oh.
for that one visit. So this is what happens when
Okay,
the scarcity of skilled labor.
shortage of labor.
Yeah, the shortage of labor basically.
Okay. So, moving on, I would like to ask you, what is the favorite type of material which you use?
So there's a lot of materials that we use, especially in this field. But I think the most important and the most versatile material that we use is wood.
Right.
I think there's no other material that is better than wood.
Okay.
Wood is actually multi-purpose. You can use it everywhere. So starting off with your flooring, you can use wood in the flooring.
Right.
What we do recently is we have panelings on the walls.
Right.
So we use veneers on the walls as well.
Yes.
So out of the three surfaces that we have, the flooring, the walls and the ceiling, we're using wood on the flooring, we're using wood on the walls as well.
Yes.
Certain times for elevation we use wood outside on the ceilings as well.
Right.
And these are just like broad prospects of wood, but like let's say furniture. So personally I feel that wood is very good for furniture.
What do you have specific vendors, specific what we can say, agencies that you work with, or you are free that client brings their own agencies?
Yeah. So it's a very good question because what happens in a market like India is, what I have come to know is that there's a lot of distrust between the client and the let's say the architect or the interior designer.
Right.
Because there have been certain practices that are being used in the market, the commission practices or something like that,
Yes.
that are pretty prevalent and pretty accepted by a lot of people.
Yes.
But that gives like a little bit of that distrust between the client and the architect.
Yes.
Because the client, in the back of their head, they're always thinking that, if you're going with an agency recommended by your architect or someone like that,
Yes.
there is possibly a charge that you're not aware of that you're paying for,
Right.
which might be the case for a lot of people, but
Yes.
it is not with my practice.
Right.
We do not indulge in that kind of practice. I charge what my fees is upfront.
Yes.
So I refrain from such practices.
Right.
At the same time, I'm very open to any vendor that the client brings in,
Yes.
provided they match the skill level of something that we want to achieve.
Yes. That is very important.
Because sometimes what happens is, when we are negotiating with a particular vendor or an agency,
Yes.
the amount of competition makes people give out unreasonable quotations.
Right.
Quotations which are, let's say, some agency would quote an amount which is not feasible by majority of the agencies.
Okay.
So that factor, I think the customer has to think, why is he willing to go to
Yes.
such a length
Yes.
when none of the other people can achieve that?
Right.
Now, sometimes it is good, sometimes you're lucky. It's a good offer and it works out good for you. But majority of the time, what I have seen is, because that particular agency is lacking in some way,
Right.
they charge lesser than everyone else.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I feel if you're any which way is paying for a particular thing,
Yes.
might as well get the value of what you're paying for.
Right.
So yeah, we recommend our agencies. If we give out quotations from our agencies, if that is feasible for the client, well and good, we'll work with them because the tuning is good.
Yes. That is the main thing. That
Yeah,
tuning,
the tuning is good, and we worked together in the past.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I feel we've got good tuning as well.
Yes.
And yeah, it's the same thing. Like, I let's say I'll ask you for a quotation, I'll forward it to the client.
Yes.
Okay. At the end, if the client says okay, well and good, because I would send a quotation from you only because I believe in your work.
Right.
Because any vendor who's like whom I am recommending, and if he makes a mess
Yes.
out of the final product, that comes on me.
Right. Because
I am undertaking that vendor's responsibility.
Right.
So yeah, I feel we are open. Like, I think majority of the architects and interior designers, they'd be open to working with a lot of new agencies.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, there's a preference that certain agencies are good if we have a good tuning with them.
Right.
or if you are bringing in the new agency, they are skilled enough to understand what we want to do.
Right.
So that is the basics. I think other than that, the market is pretty open. Everybody wants to work with everyone.
Yes.
So it's a very free flowing market. Yeah.
The thing you mentioned about the commission thing is right now going. So I also experienced this, that sometimes, like you mentioned that we work together. So sometimes when the architect has suggested this particular agency, then also people are like thinking that they actually ask upfront that આમાં કઈ architect નું છે તો નહીં ને, because it's like બહુ વધારે
Distance થઈ ગયા છે માર્કેટના અંદર.
But I have seen very genuine architects like for yourself and very renowned architects of Surat. They don't indulge in these kind of things because their work speaks for themselves. They don't need that side pocket thing.
And I say honestly, majority of the architects જે છે, work good in their work. એ લોકો પોતાનું charge they'll get from the fees.
Right.
એટલે they are not relying on a commission to make money out of something.
Right.
And the thing is that we have to understand that this one person is working with so many agencies.
Yes.
That if he starts doing this practice,
yes,
so then this will become one entire other business only.
Right.
એટલે આ પેલું brokerage નું business જ થઈ જાય.
Yes.
તમારું આર્કિટેક્ચર નું ફિલ્ડ તો અલગ છે, આ brokerage નું અલગ business ચાલે છે.
Yes.
કે ભાઈ મેં આ vendor ને તમને મલાવ તો તમે એનું મને brokerage આપો.
Right.
So see, it is everyone's practice. So
somehow I see this like આ વસ્તુ એવું નથી કે જાણીને કોઈ સ્ટાર્ટ કર્યું હશે, મગર કે ઘણીવાર ક્લાયન્ટ એટલું વધારે એક્સપેક્ટેશન્સ ટાઈમલાઇન્સ ને પછી શું થાય કે ફીસ બી એટલી લો હોય.
ના મેં એ જ કહું છું, આનું છે ને there is a systemic reason કે આ પ્રેક્ટિસ ચાલુ થઈ છે. રાઈટ. ઇન્ડિયાના અંદર જ્યારે હમણાં ઇન્ટિરિયર ડિઝાઇનની જે વેલ્યુ છે ને એ પાસ્ટ ફ્યુ યર્સથી જ આવી છે.
રાઈટ.
It has not always been there.
Yes.
પહેલા જ્યારે ઇન્ટિરિયર ડિઝાઇન થતું ને તો ઇટ વોઝ લાઈક કે બસ આ છે એટલે કોઈ આવીને તમારું ઘર તમને સજાવી આપે છે એવું છે.
રાઈટ.
તો એની વેલ્યુ એટલી નહોતી. તો શું છે, પૈસા સામે એટલા નહોતા મળતા.
રાઈટ.
The money that you were getting for your service was very less.
Yes.
તો બીજા you had to find other avenues જ્યારે તમને પૈસાનું ઇન્કમ થાય.
Right.
Because otherwise what you are earning is not sufficient for yourself only.
Okay.
You've got staff, you've got software licenses to pay for, you've got a lot of, you've got rent, you've got office space you've taken. So
yes,
you've got to manage a lot of assets.
Yes.
And when you're not making the ends meet, so pachi you have to indulge in certain practices,
right,
which might not be acceptable, but like a blue market nu aa છે શું કહીએ,
normal, like a normal
market નું એક ફોર્સ છે કે you have to do it.
Right.
નહીં કરો તો તમારું નુકસાન છે.
Yes, because of that અમને બી ઘણીવાર પૂછવું પડે છે sometimes.
હા,
because
હવે તો general practice થઈ ગઈ ને.
Right. So you mentioned we have worked together. So what was some things you like, some a product of ours you like, and to work in future, what inputs would you give us that you should improve on this or that?
I like all your products.
Thank you.
Big fan of all your products. We've worked a lot with partitions. We've worked a lot with glass doors, that too giant glass doors, like not the normal kind.
Right.
And we worked with arches and everything. So I really appreciate the the attention to detail. Like everything is very how would you say? Like the finishing is perfect.
Right.
So that is very important when we are giving an order out to an agency or a vendor. We really value the finishing that comes along with it. That, and along with that, the constant use of new things that come into the market. Because when we have a relationship working with someone, we want to prolong that relationship for as far as we can.
Right.
But what happens sometimes is the vendors are not ready to evolve.
Yes.
So if they are not ready to evolve, we want to use something new for our projects.
Right.
And we cannot do that because the vendors do not have that available with them.
Yes. Right.
So we have to move on. So what I appreciate, especially from you, is that there's always something new coming up.
Right.
We recently spoke about laminated glasses for soundproofing. That was something I learned recently. I was always aware about the DGU, but I never knew that you can actually laminate glasses on top of DGU as well.
Right.
So yeah, coming up with new products is really important.
That is what I work with mostly. My Most of the time I am trying to research and development, doing research and development, attending fairs, going to new spaces. So you can gather around as much as possible the new products which are going to come in the market in recent
Yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah. Fairs are very helpful actually.
Right. It would be a nightmare for me if something new is in the market and I get to know it about from some of my client or an architect.
Yeah,
So it will be like, you are working in this industry.
but I know better than you.
Yes. So it will be like, oh shit, what happened?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that is another reason that I have to be updated. It's not necessary. Sometimes કે એવું બી હોય છે કે કોઈ પ્રોડક્ટ આવે બી નવી મગર એ સસ્ટેનેબલ નથી ભાઈ, એટલે એને તમે લગાવો, it's not going to work.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we don't implement it, but we know, we gather the knowledge that this is something is coming, but we suggest our client that if you install this, it won't be working.
So we also face that a lot.
Right.
એટલે આપના અંદર પણ there's a lot of this happening.
Yes.
What happens is કે Instagram હવે કેવું થઈ ગયું છે કે there is a lot of things on Instagram.
Right.
Like you see things that are innumerable. So we get clients who are forwarding us reels.
Right.
And in that reel, there is some reel for the kitchen where they are using a particular hardware. Now that particular hardware is not available anywhere in the market.
Right.
It's probably coming from somewhere in China where they've made this reel,
Right.
but it has reached over here.
Yes.
So now,
How to source that?
how to source that? And for that one piece, it'll be a huge expense, but the client feels that, this is something that we are not willing to do.
Right.
But we are very well and willing to do,
But sometimes-
anything that turns out a very good result for us. But sometimes, Instagram is a force for good and bad as well.
Yes.
So we have a lot of fights with Instagram.
It was my one of the question that Pinterest.
Yeah.
I'm seeing so many videos from Pinterest, clients coming with a video from Pinterest. See, this is happening, but it's not all the time possible. And sometimes, if it's possible, it's not feasible.
Yeah.
So, in budget wise, working તમે એકવાર લગાવી દેશો, બટ ઘણીવાર તો અહીંયા કેવું છે કે આપણું વર્કિંગ આપણે પોતે એકલું રફ એન્ડ ટફ યુઝ કરીએ છીએ, તો ઘણીવાર પોસિબલ જ નથી.
Yeah. No, definitely. Pinterest is good, but then I feel that being a designer, if you follow Pinterest blindly, you're limiting yourself.
Right. What is your take on sustainability? Like incorporating in your building or something like that?
See, sustainability, honestly, I am not a very big fan. I feel we can use sustainability in a lot of different areas of life. But then again, like putting sustainability in your house because you like the concept of sustainability, I feel you compromise a lot on your functionality, your design, your final aesthetics, your final output. You
Right.
compromise a lot because you're focusing on one element, which is sustainability.
Yes.
At the end of the day, there's like, according to me, for interiors, there's nothing called like 100% sustainable project.
Right.
Because
Maybe something recycled you can.
definitely, so there are a lot of materials that we use which
Yes.
are sustainable.
Okay.
So sustainable materials are like recently we've used something which was like a plastic polymer in our tiles banaya hai logo.
Right.
So we use that, and that is one way of recycled materials being used in the house. But personally, not a very big fan of sustainability. Those who people can achieve it and can do it nicely, kudos to them. Sometimes projects turn out very nice, which are sustainable.
Yes.
But I feel that's a little that kind of design is a little raw for me. I personally don't like it.
Right.
So yeah, big fan of sustainability though. People should recycle, reuse more,
But not in.
but don't compromise your houses.
Right. So I would like you to sketch a thing from top of your mind. Nothing.
Like a space, an object.
An object, a piece of furniture, anything you would like to.
Okay.
So I have a paper and pencil with me.
There you go.
So just in around a minute, so much is on the paper. I cannot imagine this. Okay. I asked you a object. You drew a room.
Yeah,
It's nice.
basically, this is how we are doing sketches for clients when
Right.
we are trying to communicate an idea for a particular space or a particular bedroom. What I drew here is just a bedroom.
Yes.
Uh,
This is window. Then outside view,
the outside view, the
bed,
bed, the side tables,
side tables and all.
the artwork, the
Right.
bench, the basic elements that we incorporate in the room,
Yes.
and how that would make this space feel.
Nice. Okay. So we are around closing. I would like to ask you about the experience of our showroom that you just said. We are shooting this at our new showroom. So, 2 cents about what you feel about this space.
So, firstly, coming to a podcast and talking about these topics is very good and it's needed because there needs to be an awareness for the consumer and for the final, clients coming in that this is what this is what it takes when you are coming with a project to us.
Right.
All the back end things that we work with, all the insights that we have.
Right.
And as far as having the interaction with you, it was very nice, very comfortable. We've known each other for quite some time.
Yes.
And the new space, I really loved it. We are shooting this in your new showroom.
Right.
So it's a wonderful space. It's pretty big for having such a huge display of windows and all the geometry that you've used in the space is wonderful. The best part about this space is that we've got a large selection of windows to see and touch and feel, which is rare. Usually, what happens is when we go to a showroom, we have these small samples on display,
Right.
and we've got to choose from that. But here we have live windows, 14 feet tall, so it's wonderful. And yeah, congratulations on the new space.
Thank you. One client of mine said after visiting this showroom, he said, architects give us a dream on paper, and you have shown this to us in reality.
Yeah.
So I like to quote him now and then to people who come to my new showroom.
Definitely, definitely.
Okay. So this was my episode with Amaan Morkas. Next, we are coming up with someone very close to me in relation also, and close to this industry also, with lots of experience, around 25 to 30 years of experience in this field. So stay tuned for our next episode. Thank you.